Indiana Jones, It's a podcast about Indiana Jones. Every movie, 1 minute at a time. Indiana Jones Minute.
Welcome back to the Indiana Jones Minute, the podcast in which we celebrate and discuss the film Raiders of the Lost Ark 1 minute at a time. I'm Tom Taylor.
I'm Pete Mummert.
I'm still the intern, Jerry Porter.
And I'm still the intern sister, Christy Porter.
Hey, Christy's here.
Hey, Christy.
Woo! Welcome back, Christy.
Thanks, guys.
It's like Nepal in here or something.
I'm wearing
Cairo.
a great hat. Just letting you know.
And not only welcome Christy, but welcome to our new theme song written for us by Kevin Murphy, erstwhile Tom Servo from Mystery Science Theater 3000, and also from Riff Tracks. We could not be more honored to have a new theme song by this man, and we hope you all enjoy it because you're going to hear it hundreds and hundreds of times from now on.
Yep, we love it.
So that's awesome.
There's repeating.
But listen, now let's get down to business. We're here to talk about minute 111 of Raiders of the Lost Ark. My God, this is the beginning of the end. This is the beginning of the last week of Raiders. We're glad you could be here with us, Christy. This is going to be good.
Okay.
Minute 111 begins with Indy still complaining about fools, and it ends with the Ark being carted into a massive storage facility as the music swells.
So I'm still kind of hung up on Marcus going back upstairs. Like I just, part of me really wants to get one last conspiracy theory in, but I'm still, Indy's kind of looking up there like it's just something's he's right on the verge of consciousness about something. Like, why is he going right back up into that office? I don't have a theory. I think it's curious.
Damn it.
Oh my God. That's incredible.
I'd like to have a theory about Indy's tie. Did he tie it himself? I don't know.
Well, I wanted to ask if this is the same, his travel tie, because it's his travel hat and it's his travel suit, but I could not recall whether it was his travel tie.
Oh, that's a good. You were here for the travel tie too.
I was.
This is the travel tie team.
Yeah. Yeah.
Well, what I noticed is that his tie is actually in the same sort of sacrifice blood red as Belloc's outfit from the opening of the Ark of the Covenant.
Not to put too fine a point on it there, Jim. We're all thinking it, though.
Well, maybe I was kidding when I brought up his tie, but you guys are running with it, so there we go.
Well, Indy probably just took Belloc's outfit, like he probably just grabbed it on his way running out of the place and had Marion sew up a new tie with it.
Yeah, the tattered remains, just enough for a tie. Yeah.
Well, actually, I did have some notes about this, and I was wondering, is this Indy's most conservative outfit that we've seen?
No, it's
because
we've seen it.
Well, the Professor Jones one had sort of a monochromatic brown, but it still had it was warmer and it hinted at adventure. So this, I mean, we called it back then bullwhip brown.
Yeah,
I remember.
That is a little bit personality.
Yeah, this seems a little bit like anxious Indy Black.
I would say it's Mr. Jones Goes to Washington. Actually, Dr. Jones.
It definitely looks like
blue.
You call him Dr. Jones.
Not yet.
But he doesn't seem, although of course he's stunningly handsome, but he doesn't seem to be completely comfortable in this sort of attire.
No, he definitely looks like, I'm in a situation where I have to put on a suit, so I'll get out my suit. I got to go to church.
Mufti. Is that what mufti?
Whoa,
Isn't that what that's called?
There are kids listening, Jerry.
It's sort of like when you're normally in, I guess what they call civilian attire.
Uh-huh.
Like when you're in a sort of your non-uniform skivvies.
How about skivvies?
I'm not sure that has anything to do with mufti, Jer.
Mufti?
I'm not really sure.
I'm terrified.
Yeah. Marion's got that same like mom dressed me up for church look. Like I think this is the first time we've seen her wear makeup like that And
Yeah.
like she definitely looks a lot different than at any other point in the movie.
I've had some strong feelings about her outfit there. So
what are you gonna?
Well, I'm asking, do you think it works or not work?
I'm going to say, and this might be controversial, or maybe everyone in the world will agree with me. I don't think it works.
No, it doesn't work at all.
Marion, I got a big Marion. Marion is suffering right now from prom syndrome. When I was in high school, there were dozens of girls who were so pretty, so cute, so beautiful, and just in a natural way with a ponytail or something. And then prom would come around, and they would get all dolled up, and they would look like a hair metal band from the 80s, because it was the 80s. And you're like,
Yeah, and they were a hair metal band.
Come on. And by the way, some of them might be listening. I don't mean you. I mean all the other ones. You know who you are. But I mean, just Marion, we want Marion a little sun bleached, a little tan, a little, just outdoorsy, the wind's blowing, she might have shoes on, she might not. She does. She looks like, geez, it's picture day at school. I got to put on a hat.
It's definitely picture day at school. I mean, and clearly it was borrowed. She says that she wants to go back in style, but that's not her style at all. Not at all.
Oh, that's an excellent point. You think that's not even hers?
No,
unless that's finally her style. Like what we've loved about her has not been her style this whole movie.
Oh, maybe she's been like looking at American magazines that have made it to Nepal, and she's like, oh, when I get back, I'll put on a brown hat and bright red lipstick, and I'll be a lady.
Yeah,
it's the wrong color. She looks much better in the flowy pants, the flowy pants with the peasant blouse.
Well, this is a sort of disconcerting way to conclude here. We had Belloc just last week who clearly looked out of place. And it was really, you're like, this looks so strange to me that like God might come down and blow his head up. Something's not right here.
Now I'm worried for Marion and Indy because they don't look right.
It's like any dream though. When you get when the dream goes on, it starts to get weirder and weirder, and people start wearing weird clothes and they start looking different.
I think you're upsetting Christy.
Well, I will say this. When what do we think? Like when Marion lightly lifts up Indy's hat, because we've talked a lot about how Indy's hat is sort of his power, like the Samson and his hair and that sort of thing. Mm-hmm. And when Marion flings his hat off his head in that whole Katanga, quarters scene, we really say, well, she's disarmed him and she's fully in control. But right here, she just,
It seems to me she wasn't on for that one. I sure would have remembered that.
Oh, you got to go back and listen.
I do got to go back.
But here she just kind of gently guides the hat, the hat and Indy's head up to her eyes. And it's like she's nicely in control.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
I think Indy's about to get scammed. Like I think she's about to pull the old, hey, how about a drink? Because for one thing, she shouldn't be buying Indy. Indy should be buying her a drink. He just made a ton of money from the government. Like
I wonder if she
didn't bulging.
Too. Did she just get her $5,000 finally? Was that part of the whole?
That way, if he's even paid her yet. Yeah.
Before we even get to the hat, so my confusion here is why the heck she wasn't in that meeting. Why is she waiting? And she, he runs down and he says, fools, bureaucratic fools. And she says, why? What'd they say? And I'm thinking, well, where on earth was Marion? Wasn't she an explorer too?
She's a girl. Do I have to spell it out for you? She's a dame.
Oh my.
I've never considered that before in my life. Like,
it's such a natural thing. Like nobody would ever think, because that's the way they play it. They've got the two guys and they've got the other two guys, except there's that weird guy in the background.
Yeah.
I don't know who that guy is. Yeah, I don't know what's he doing there.
I don't know.
And it's a good point, Christopher, because do you remember that in the streets of Cairo when Marion cudgeled the guy with the frying pan
right.
over the head. Yeah, where would this whole arc thing have gone had that not happened?
How about if she hadn't been wearing the headpiece for the
this is her arc. Why reach for pots and pans and cudgeling when you got the main MacGuffin of the movie around her neck?
Oh, good Hardy Boys word there.
Wait a minute, I can't say mufti.
MacGuffin. That's a
But he
film
can
term.
say MacGuffin.
It's gross when you say it.
Look it up.
You can imagine like Porkins being like, "Now, wait, I talked to Brody and I talked to Jones. I don't know who this lady is," and they'd be like, "Oh, it's Abner Ravenwood's daughter." Like, still, I've got a huge conference room that only fits 20. You two are good. You can wait outside.
So she's waiting outside, and then she's like, "So what did they say?" And he doesn't say a whole lot about it. And then she's like, "Well, all right, that's that. That's a wrap then. Let me tweak your hat, and I'll be all cute and dimply about it and such."
Yeah, I mean, if he had said like, "Oh, well, they took the Ark and we have no idea where it is," would she be like, "Oh no," or would she be like, "Let's go get a drink"? Like, would she care at all? Would she be upset at all that the
Why
Ark
were there no follow-up questions?
Yeah, she doesn't seem to care at all anyway. Like she just.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Maybe that's why there are no follow-up questions. Like she's just kind of like, "Oh, well, all right, next. I'm back in the States. I got 5,000 clams. I got a hat. Let's go."
I've got this goofy-looking suit.
Yeah.
Well, she says it. She says, "Well, I know what I've got here."
Yeah. Like moving
She
on.
almost died like how many millions, billions of times. And, she's moving on. She's like, "Man, I could go for some shrimp."
Well, to be fair, I mean, she could be utterly terrified of the Ark. Like she just saw like an island of Nazis get, something happen. She doesn't know what exactly, but they're gone. She could be like, I'm going to go the rest of my life without dealing with the Ark. Let's get some shrimp. Let's go get a drink. Let's just live a normal life.
Does she pat her stomach when she says, "I know what I've got here"? Like maybe shrimp's not a good idea.
I don't think she pats her stomach. No, she's focused on this hat brim, but still.
I was thinking more about Mutt, but
yeah, I was too. Yeah.
Oh, listen, it's already the last week. I didn't want to bring it up, but everybody's a little bit sad.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah, and then now we're mudded.
Yeah, you have to jump into mud. Just wait. There'll be plenty of time for that.
Plenty of time.
So that
go ahead.
Well, they walk by like after. She says, a drink, and they kind of walk by the camera, and neither of them looks happy at all. And I'm one question I have is, if the movie ends here, like if there's nothing else, is this a happy ending or is this a sad ending?
That'd be a weird ending. That would be.
Well, even with the other ending, like, do we consider this a happy ending they've had, or a?
I think the one thing that saves it at all, if it gets saved at all, I think it's because of Indy's. The elbow that he offers her and the way he does it, there's like definitely a kind of like, aw shucks, kind of, aw come on you, like sort of fake reluctant sort of thing that's kind of charming that, she would obviously respond to and me as an audience member, I respond to it. So like, okay, there's Indy. He's glad that Marion's with him, even if he's acting weird. And even if he is legitimately distracted by what just happened. And he looks back like over his shoulder, like, I guess I'm finally letting go of the Ark or something. And maybe even that's hopeful. Maybe even that's like, that was his one last look back at the Ark or that situation. And now he's moving forward with Marion. So I think yes, but only if you talk about it for like half an hour. It doesn't, like on the screen, it does read sort of like, it reads a little like awkward and a little like, oh, really? This is, all right. Is $5,000 going to cover it? I don't know. Is this going to buy happiness?
Well, it calls to mind the speech when he has the bazooka and he says, "That depends. All I want is the girl."
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, well, now here we have a girl here. Is that your? It just we're jumping back a second. You said immediately, which nobody believes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is that true?
Well, the way he doesn't do it, for one. He doesn't blow up anything. He didn't really mean it. As we all know, that bazooka didn't even exist at the time. So how could he have? But then when they actually sneak up behind him he just kind of closes his eye and he's kind of like, ugh, they got me. And they should have got me because I didn't mean it. That's actually
They called my obvious bluff.
really.
Well, I mean, the reason I'm asking is because, is he, well, as you said, Tommy, is he giving up the arc here and that, and he's like, is he like, well, I'm still going to be okay because I got you?
I think now he's like that. Yeah, it was hard to read it that way back on the island and stuff like that. Whether we're being hard on him to be goofy or whether we're legitimately like this guy, could care less about Marion in the long run.
No, I think it's a happy ending, Pete, because it's a because I think that's isn't that the romantic ending that we want? So that would have to be happy. Or is that too simple?
I guess if it was more romantic than it is, that would be weird in its own way. That would be like that wouldn't ring true if it was like if they swept each other into their arms and he carried her down the steps and they walked into the sunset together. That'd be a little like, really? Where'd that come from? What?
And it is
like,
it is the ending we want, but it is a strange final camera shot where they both walk off camera looking very unhappy.
Yeah. They're stuck in San Francisco for some reason. They don't know how to get back to DC. I gotta say, isn't that a little bit weird that they're that building? I don't know what it's called. You know a lot more about it than I do, Pete, because you've been there and it matters. But like people recognize that, don't they? That's like a famous location in San Francisco.
Yeah, I got my marriage license right about 20 feet from there.
Right.
No.
So wouldn't a lot of people in the audience be like, wait, how'd they get from DC to San Francisco in 30 seconds?
I think most people in the audience know that Marshall is like maybe 60 miles from here. So I think people accept it. Yeah.
Okay.
No, you don't understand. They just showed the Lincoln Memorial.
That's what I'm saying.
Because because
DC.
it's a neat place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with where the Ark of the Covenant, or the government. They're on the West Coast clearly by the end, and they walk down there. They're in San Francisco. Yeah. As a matter of fact, congratulations, the museum got it.
So you're saying they could have cut back to they could have cut from the island to like the Grand Canyon or something.
Exactly. It was just kind of it was like a palate cleanser.
Meanwhile, back in the States.
Yeah, everybody likes the Lincoln Memorial. No, but I think, and this is a much larger question. It doesn't feel as happy as you said. It's sad, but you're like, but listen, where is the Ark of the Covenant supposed to be? I mean, what is honestly supposed to happen to it? And does the government do the right thing with it? Like, first of all, does anybody believe that it's ever going to be opened or researched by top men?
It says do not open.
It does.
So no, it will never be opened.
It'll never be opened. Well, and
I think that's fine. I think we were saying last week that that's probably the best possible outcome. Whether the government intended that, like the government's not like, this is too dangerous to deal with, we better hide this. They're probably just like, oh, we got this now, just stick it someplace.
See, I just can't buy that though. Like I can't buy that the government's going to be sitting on the greatest super weapon of all time, and somebody at some point is not going to be like, yeah, maybe we should open that up. Let's have a look at this thing.
I don't think they know that it's the greatest super weapon of all time.
Yeah, like especially like you can picture like Indy telling his whole story to Musgrove, and you can imagine that he'd be like, "Oh, you don't say? Oh, an island full of Nazis just disappeared? Huh? Fantastic." Anyway,
I want to see the scene where it's Porkins and he's drawing what happened on the island of Malta. Like he did at the beginning. Remember, he drew the staff of Ra, and he, and it's like, I want to see him debriefing them on what happened in Malta. Like
that's right.
2 days ago, and he was like, he's drawing it on chalk. Like, well, you see, and then this guy, and he draws like a melting face.
Right.
And he's like, yeah. But the craziest thing of all, I just thought of, Indy has no idea what happened.
Yeah. No, we were saying that before. Yeah,
well, that's not entirely true because everything disappears. It's not just the people, right? It's all the equipment.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, he heard a big, a big rumpus, and then he opens his eyes, and it's like, oh God, this is beautiful and tight. Is that a cricket?
But so we asked this before, but does this mean that nobody after this has ever known what was actually inside the Ark? Like nobody did, hey, maybe we should actually see what was in here. Like, even if they don't believe it's the greatest super weapon of all time, why then wouldn't somebody like take a peek?
Yeah, it's like there's that guy standing there who I never really noticed before.
Yeah, it's like-
I mean, I guess we're in the warehouse now.
Yeah.
Like they put the stencil on, the guy is hammering it in, and there's the dude who's just like the, Mike the janitor or whatever. He just, is pushing the thing. But there's a suit there, like with a clipboard or whatever.
I think that's the archivist, uncredited.
No pun
That's a
intended.
crime. He did a fantastic job.
Unless the other guy, unless the old guys, the who did the nails is the archivist.
Maybe.
But I never saw that guy in the blue suit before. So that's two guys that I can't really account for. One was in the conference room with them.
Yeah.
And one is in the basement, wherever
And
they are.
I'm just wondering if maybe that guy, the blue suit guy or somebody knows enough to be like, hey, don't touch that and don't open it and just stick it in the crate. And maybe there could be at least an unease about it or something that would get everyone to just get it in a box as fast as you can and stick it away and don't ever touch it again and write "do not touch" and "do not open" on it.
Well, and I think what bothers me about this whole thing is Indy says they don't know what they have there.
That drives me nuts.
And you're like, no, they do know what they have here. That's why they're literally losing it.
You see, I don't. Yeah.
Like they're going to lose. It's like Raiders of the Lost Ark. Well, it's like, well, you see this thing, and then they had the Ark, and but then they found the Ark, and then you're like, no. But at this point, at the end of the movie, the Ark of the Covenant is lost again.
Yeah. Which is like your initial reaction when you see the movie in 1981. You're like, oh my gosh! After all that, the Ark is lost again. It's back hidden away where no one will ever find it again for another 3,000 years. But then now we're kind of like, well, okay, good. Fine, that'll work out.
One of the things that I wasn't that I can't quite buy then is that Indiana Jones really can walk away. They condense some of those scenes so much that they just kind of ring a little false. Maybe like when they condense their exchange and they look sad, but they're not really sad. It's supposed to be happy because now we're all fine and we're dating again. So I'm supposed to believe that Indiana Jones walks away from it and that's the end of it. And he never that's what I'm saying.
I'm realizing now as we're talking about it that what's freaking me out about this and the previous minute from last week is that I actually, after all this, don't know what Indy's thoughts about the Ark are. Right here he says they don't know what they've got there. But is he is he saying they don't know that they have a super-powered god weapon? Or is he saying they don't know that they've got a priceless historic artifact that should be appreciated by the public or something? Because in the previous minute, this is what messes me up the most. Musgrove says it's that the Ark is somewhere very safe. And Indy doesn't say safe so that it doesn't hurt other people. He says safe from whom? Something's going to hurt the Ark or somebody's going to get at the Ark. And that weirds me out because it makes me think that it doesn't help me at all to figure out how Indy feels about this whole thing. If he's like, oh yes, the Ark is a super does he think that the Ark is a super powerful god thing?
That's a really good and disturbing point, Tom.
Thank you.
Really, really.
I don't even know if I made sense.
Well, George Lucas did an interview and he said at the very end of the movie, you're supposed to think that Indy has a transformation that takes him from atheist to agnostic.
What?
And I'm not.
I actually kind of accept that. That's kind of not bad. Because, if he goes from Marcus, magic is a lot of superstitious hocus pocus, you're being stupid for even talking about God, if he goes from that to sheesh, I don't even know. Don't ask me. The world is weird and anything can happen. I've almost seen some stuff. I've been from one side of Tanis to the other. I've seen a lot of strange stuff.
Well, I actually like that. That's great. Mm-hmm. And that season, we talked about last week, I said a little bit like a Pauline epiphany, where he right when they open up the Ark and there's sand, And we all said, you're like, oh, it looks like his brain splits in half because of irony is just dropped on his skull. But he at that point where he's like, don't look at it, Marion, don't look at it. And with the deleted scene, I kind of thought, well, does he have this sort of, he's the only one who displays humility before the Lord here. Mm-hmm. And that's kind of it's a couple clicks higher than agnostic. But he's not like a full-on convert.
No, I think he's like, I think in that moment of like, we were kind of talking about this last week too, is in that moment of like, don't look at it, shut your eyes. It's almost like, there's no atheists in the foxholes. It's like, well, it looks like something insane might happen. So let's apply this little bit of knowledge that I have from my readings just in case. Let's just play it safe, and as though there's a God that's going to go bananas on everybody right now. And let's just play it safe.
I said last week, that's a little bit Yahweh alley-oop. I think he kind of threw a little something in his head there.
Maybe.
Because I file that under mild Yahweh rumpus.
Mild
Yahweh rumpus. Yeah, because all of a sudden he has this epiphany and he's like, you know what? And then everybody else dies and all the cameras goes up into the sky.
Yeah.
Except for Indy. And you're like, yeah. he got a little assistance.
That could be. Or it could just be book learning.
It's not book learning. If there's one thing we've discovered in this movie, it's not book learning.
So if Indy's kind of like, God's like, okay, like Yahweh's like, okay, you showed some humility, you're kind of a good guy. But now the Ark gets crated up like in an identical crate to the one the Nazis were using, and it has a like stencil spray painted on it, just like the Nazis did. So is Yahweh going to burn through this, or is it okay this time? Like, was it just that the Nazis were doing it that it was bad, or is anybody like saying property of somebody else gonna?
I wonder if the Ark is exhausted now after its light show on Malta, and it's like, all right, I'll burn this off later. I'll let me sleep for 1,000 years again.
Well, what's interesting is though Yahweh being Yahweh, he might know that when he started to use his singe highlighter on the crate, the Ark was being was in the process of being disturbed and awakening, and it was moving out of the Well of Souls.
Yeah,
and it pissed him off. But now the Ark is clearly going back to a more state of hibernation, I guess, where it's not disturbed. So what I'm saying is I don't think he's going to pull out his singe highlighter unless it gets disturbed again, way back in past the succulents and potted plants of Home Depot.
You know what this is exactly like, and anyone who disagrees with me is wrong. This is exactly like Creepshow, the episode The Crate, where there's the monster that's been in a crate under the stairs in the university lab for like 100 years, and it gets disturbed and it comes out and eats some people, and then all it wants to do is crawl back under the stairs and stay under there safe in its crate. The Ark is exactly like that. It's just killed a bunch of people. It spent 3,000 years in the dark in a safe, quiet place, and now it's going back into another safe, quiet place in a box, and it's going to be fine. And that's all it wants. It doesn't need to singe anything anymore. It's not mad at any U.S. government policies it might not agree with. It's just going to relax and cool its jets for thousands of years. Or until goddamn Crystal Skull. Jesus, I'm going to be mad when we get to that. Oh my God. I don't even want to talk about it.
Okay. But you're going to have...
So on the stencil, the number on the Ark is 9906753.
Here it comes.
Here it comes.
The phone number. Oh.
Well, no. Are there 10 million other crates? Is this like a sequential number?
Yeah.
Like, yeah. And like as a kid, I was always like, what is it? As a kid, I actually used to think they were all other Arks. Because they got like the boxes all like this.
Oh my God.
They do make you think that because they're all the same size. And there's no organizational system there.
I think crate number 1, stencil number 1 is Charles Foster Kane's sled. And then it just goes from there.
Number 2 is Aaron's staff.
Yeah.
That's right.
Number 3 is David Slingshot.
Actually, 0000001.
Right.
Yeah.
Thought ahead.
But if you do look up that actual number, 9906753, Christy,
Because one of us did.
Well, it's a Van Halen album, isn't it?
well, if you have the book Star Wars: The Force Awakens Incredible Cross Sections book, and if you turn to the page with Han Solo's new cargo ship, where it's transporting the Rathtars, there is a cargo container in his ship that they're unable to open, and they say in the little caption in the book says they're unable to open the crypto lock, which has the combination of 9906753.
That is not. My God. This is not an episode of Lost.
Wait, who's not able to open it? What do you mean? What? Who? What?
That's just what's written in the book. I'll have to
gosh.
take it up with the Force Awakens people.
That's hysterical.
Pete, I just talked to my mom, and she said I can come over Friday night for a smoke.
Pete, you so just made that up. You're good. You so just made it up.
Oh, I have a quick question. Does Marion have a drinking problem?
Yes.
Should we be worried about her? She just got all she wants to do is drink. She wants to do is drink.
But see, if she doesn't have a drinking problem, then I hopefully she's just scamming Indy out of some more cash.
Yeah.
Like
or she's just
earned
using
it.
crazy innuendo. A drink.
I was kind of wondering why they, whether or not they would have to kill all the guys who nailed shut the all those boxes.
Well, that's what the guy in the background was doing. He was going to wait to kill the guy after he wheeled him.
Wait to kill the little old newsy hat.
Yeah,
poor newsy.
And then there's a guy
Well,
behind him.
that's a totally Egyptian move, isn't it? Isn't that from the Egyptians playbook?
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
It worked pretty well. In that sense.
We're a little bit past these minutes, but Chris, I want to see. Do you think when they open the Ark? I just want your opinion here.
Mm-hmm.
Just taking a poll.
Yes.
What is it that comes out? Is it, are they angels? Are they dead Israelites?
Now that's a good question because it works in this minute because I'm wondering if they are now reconstituting in that Home Depot.
Oh wow!
The Ark might be resting, but I'm wondering if everybody is moving back in, or if they have to arrange their skirts again. If they go from being fang-like to angelic.
Yeah,
no, wait a
comb
minute.
the hair back out.
Now wait, both Porters. Okay, now I got you both here. I didn't know you were going to say that just now, that you were going to say fangs. I was thinking about bringing this up, and then I wasn't going to, but now that we're talking about that whole scene again, Jerry, last week, I didn't pick up on this until I was listening to it later. You said something about fangs. Now when that one ghost goes, or whatever we're calling it, goes, the white-winged dove, when it turns from Stevie Nicks into the scary face, are you saying that it has fangs?
Yeah, it has fangs.
It has fangs.
Pete, do you see those as fangs?
Yeah, I see those
Oh
as
my
fangs,
God!
You do see them as fangs? I'm not here to start a fight. I've just always seen those as just kind of EC comics, like zombie, gross putrefaction kind of open maw lines.
Fangs.
Not fangs. No, like gross, oh, my mouth is barely held together by rotting flesh kind of.
Well, yeah, that
stuff.
too. No, that too. But that's why you can see the fangs.
Do I want it to be fangs? All right. I don't know.
You go check it out.
Headcanon.
Yeah.
All
Yeah.
right. I call it headcanon. I don't know if it's fangs.
Well, when you have the word maw, and the next thing is going to imply a fang.
I don't know necessarily. I've seen some fangless moths.
It's fine if you're talking about a cave or something, but if you're talking about a demon and angelic to demonic, somewhere in that transformation is going to be a fang.
Everything you're saying makes sense. I just don't know if I don't know. We'll see.
That's the way this whole podcast is gone.
Perhaps just some serious canine those canines at the sides there. No, I think
I've just never seen it that way.
Yeah.
I don't know.
So all right, so are they angels? No, they're not angels. They start out as angels. Are they ghosts? I guess they're ghosts. They don't make a lot of sense to me, I have to say. For instance, when they start, they actually don't. The main one doesn't really look all that human ish. It looks just like spirits or ribbons or something, a ribbon, and then it turns into very human-like and then zombie-like, like with the fangs or maws.
Yeah, I was going to say zombies don't have fangs, so thank you.
I think they kind of ambush you on that one. They throw a couple things and then they go, "Oh my God, what just happened?"
Yeah, that's true. I actually couldn't watch that when I was a kid. I couldn't watch it when that started going on. I was right there with Indy and Marion closing my eyes because I knew that it was gonna melt in the eyeballs and stuff like that.
That's why you survived.
Yes, yes, it is.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Well, we should. Oh, did Jared just leave? Sounded like Jared just left.
It did.
Bye, Jared.
Oh, sorry. No, I'm
Like Tote speeding out in his car.
Don't come back.
That was the greatest thing I've ever.
Every time I see this painting, this matte painting at the end here, I think
Oh,
back
yeah.
to that Brett Stillo episode where he said he got to
me
see
too.
this. Michael Pangrazio was the matte painter. Said it took him 3 months
nice.
to paint this. And it's this incredible painting.
It is. It only looks like a painting when you see like stills of it. But in
Right.
the movie, you're like,
It doesn't
oh, this
look
is
like a
a
painting.
massive, going on forever warehouse that they had to build and fill with boxes.
Yeah, and it's really cool the way he made it because there's just a little section in the middle of the painting, like a little rectangle that's not part of the painting where they film the guy walking and then
Yeah.
he turns with the crate behind. It looks like he's going behind a crate, but he's just going behind the painting. It's really cool.
Yeah. It's like super simple
I have to watch
and
that again.
incredible.
I had one more question, and that was, but it's going back a minute. So, why did Marion have the headpiece? If she wasn't all that interested in being the explorer, why was she so attached to that headpiece and wore it around?
Weren't you in Nepal with us when that happened?
Yeah.
You're asking now?
Well, I'm only asking now because she wasn't invited to the meeting. I'm now thinking about it from the point of view of she wasn't invited to the meeting and she doesn't care. So that's headpiece was something else.
I mean, that did come up back then, and I forget. I think we just sort of said it was or wasn't our angle that like she knew that was important to Abner, and since he died, that's sort of like her.
I guess what I'm saying is I'm just disappointed. Yes.
Maybe Marcus was going back upstairs, like to kind of straighten out the room, and then like he's going to invite Marion up secretly, so Indy doesn't get his feelings hurt, and then they're going to have the real meeting about what to do with the Ark. Yeah. Hey, what are we going to do with the Ark, Marion?
You're just throwing me a bone, aren't you?
Everyone gets their own decanter up here. You want to see?
Oh my God. Well, I think at some point Abner probably just said, "Hey, look, this is the most prized piece I have."
Sure.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
And she doesn't really have a lot of respect for, his little bits of junk.
No.
You know what I mean? But she had enough to be like, well, it does look good with the blouse.
Yeah, that might be the one piece that she ever thought was special in any way, and it wasn't a bit of junk.
Mm-hmm.
I always assume Abner said, like, hey, look, this is a really important thing. Like, this is my entire life's work right here.
Yeah.
And that's probably why maybe I don't know. Who knows if she knew what it went to.
Right.
But I figured she was like, well, this was important to my father, so I'll wear it around my neck in remembrance of him.
Yeah. But then when Indy asked for exactly that piece, she must be like, are you kidding me? Before we end this minute, can we talk about Satipo for half an hour or something?
Sure.
Remember Barranca? Remember that monkey? I'm sure there's going to be plenty of this in the next minutes of credit, because this minute ends literally at the end of the movie when there's nothing but credits after this. The credits start at the instant the next minute starts.
Mm-hmm.
So
you know what I like, though, Chris, I like that you brought up that bit about Marion, because it's true. I never really thought about it. I was like, and it does. Maybe she's just happy that she's back. She's out in Nepal.
Oh yeah.
You sometimes wonder, maybe that's all she ever wanted, that and adventure. And she's 2 for 2 on that one.
This will be the first time she's ever gone to a bar that she doesn't own. She's super excited.
This is the first time she's gone to a bar other than her own where she was of legal age to drink.
Yeah, really.
So what do you guys think happens next? Is Indy just take his cash and go straight to Marrakesh, or what do you think happens?
You know what? I thought to myself, as what we've discovered about Indiana Jones and his lust for gold, and he jumps off the Bantu wind, he swims and lands on a submarine, and then he swims. I figure he's somehow going to break into Home Depot and steal, kind of like the old college prank. He's going to steal the Ark and take it back to Marshall College.
Yeah.
Where it belongs.
Or maybe he'll just be a jerk and steal the Declaration of Independence or something. It's like, oh, you get my Ark? Oh, look at this. Oh, you don't get no Declaration of Independence. And then he and Marion live happily ever after for the next 10 movies. Hooray. Yep. I can't wait. Well, listen. We're going to come back tomorrow. Christy, you're coming back tomorrow. I don't want any argument. You're going to join us some more. You get one more day with us.
Yay.
We'll start talking about all the people who made this movie. We're going to talk about every single one. We're going to spend 10 minutes on each name, and it's going to be awesome.
Cool.
But until then, I don't know. Does anyone have one last thing to say about the actual movie before we get into credits? I don't. I'm just asking if anybody else does. I don't want to pull the plug on this. All right, let's just pull the plug. Pete, where can people go to see us and talk to us about things and sob with us over the ending of this movie that's rapidly approaching?
Yeah, and more importantly, just be a little disappointed.
Yeah,
sure. We want everyone to be disappointed.
Buy us
a little bit.
Yeah, well, if you want to come buy us a drink, you can find us at IndianaJonesMinute.com, and you can find us on Facebook. We have a Facebook page, Indiana Jones Minute, and you can also look up, we have a Facebook group called Indiana Jones Minute and the Listener's Crusade, and you can keep the conversation going long after this movie ends.
Yes, you've been doing a great job all this time, and there's no reason for the party to end just because the movie does. They're going to come, the ushers are going to come and tell us to leave, but we're going to say, no, forget it. We're sticking around and talking about stuff here in Facebook land.
What if I want a mug?
You want a mug? What if she doesn't want a mug, Pete?
Yeah, come to IndianaJonesMinute.com/store and you can get a mug. It says Indiana Jones Minute or just says Indiana Jones Minute. Or if you want a mug that says Jones.
What if I want a shirt that's got the Staff of Ra in the place of a pyramid or a prism from Dark Side of the Moon?
You know what? I think you might have one of those too.
Okay. What if I want the Millennium Falcon?
It was your idea to actually pull the plug.
Fair enough. All right. Goodbye, everyone. Please come back tomorrow for minute 112 of Raiders of the Lost Ark here on the Indiana Jones Minute. And then what if I want a key fob with Jones on it, or Team Yahweh, or
we're gonna get a little cat booties, maybe some cat booties.
Yeah.
Tote.
Yeah, like a little spoon rest. What if I want an Indiana Jones spoon rest?
A tea cozy.
Yeah, shaped like an art cozy.